The loss of the Drivers' Championship in the 2021 season and the subsequent ground effect rule change in 2022 was expected to be the return of Mercedes at the top. But instead, the team nosedived into averageness, while Red Bull soared to new heights. There are many reasons for this, but some are more strange than others, and in this video we will take a look at how the Brackley team went from a title contender and a favourite to a team who can barely hold on to second place, light years behind Red Bull. Mercedes had a very good logic for their car concept, especially in anticipation of the 2022 ground effect regulations. Unlike the prevailing trend popularised by Red Bull, Mercedes has maintained their unique design, and although it was updated, as of now, the W14 still doesn't deliver the wanted results. Only Williams adopted a similar design, which they dropped mid-year. Instead of the widespread undercut in the side pod, meant to speed up the airflow along the car's sides, thus sealing the underfloor, Mercedes opted for a different approach, and by eliminating the undercut, they introduced a bulky forward side pod area. It was believed that this change, combined with narrow side pods, now referred to as the zero side pod concept, would enlarge the exposed floor area. The essence of ground effect downforce is the pressure disparity between the area under and above the floor. A low pressure region below and higher one above result in downforce. Mercedes believed that this expanded floor area could offset the advantages of a traditional side pod undercut, which accelerates airflow. Their confidence also stemmed from positioning the upper side impact protection system in a way that would boost airflow. Enclosed in its own aerodynamic casing, this was a groundbreaking feature. Regulations dictate that the impact protection system bar can only reach the car's broadest point below, the top of the sidecar in most cars. But Mercedes, due to their unique design without bulky side pods, had this broadest point at the floor, resulting in a triangular top section with its base at the bottom. To achieve this, the cockpit was shifted forward, and while Mercedes felt these changes were beneficial, why didn't their concept deliver as expected? Mercedes' decline was largely due to their reliance on simulation tool results that didn't match up with real-world outcomes. For the 2022 season and their predictions for 2023, they miscalculated the leading figures. The initial signs of trouble emerged during the car's preliminary shakedown at Silverstone in February 2022. Yet the team didn't raise the alarm, attributing discrepancies to the wet and blustery conditions. Another red flag surfaced during initial testing in Barcelona. However, it was only during the second and conclusive pre-season test in Bahrain, when Mercedes rolled out its slender side pod design, that they realised what they had done. And even so, it took a while for the team to grasp the magnitude of the issues. Mercedes consistently spoke of the car's untapped potential. This optimism stemmed from their simulation tools, including wind tunnel tests, computational fluid dynamics, and various other analytical instruments employed by all F1 teams. These tools indicated that the W13 was exceptionally promising. Had it performed in line with these predictions, Mercedes would have outpaced rivals like Red Bull and Ferrari with ease. Consequently, they entered the season with high hopes, but unfortunately reality caught up to them very fast, proving that the car couldn't replicate its simulated performance on the track. Last year, the W13 was plagued by porpoising and bouncing issues, resulting in erratic downforce. This inconsistency made the vehicle hard to control, often leading to brake locking. While the simulations painted a rosy picture, the actual performance on the track was merely theoretical due to these challenges. A significant reason behind Mercedes facing these issues more than other teams was the larger exposed floor area of their car. This increased area behaved like a cantilever, and to address this, Mercedes implemented a denser and stiffer floor. However, adding weight is seldom beneficial in racing, as it not only affects weight distribution, but also hinders adherence to weight limits. And last year, teams battled to meet the 798 kg weight restriction. This year, Mercedes has been more successful in this regard, partly credited to their decision to bring back the black livery, reducing the car's paint weight. To counteract the porpoising issue, Mercedes raised the ride height of the car, but due to limitations stemming from the suspension pickup points and the gearbox design, the required height couldn't be achieved, and as a workaround, they stiffened the suspension, which, while curbing the porpoising, caused the car to bounce excessively. Though this adjustment made the W13 more competitive in high-speed corners, it also necessitated more rear wing to compensate for the downforce shortage, resulting in an increased drag and reduced straight-line speed. By the time Mercedes clinched its sole Grand Prix victory in Brazil with George Russell behind the wheel, there was a budding sentiment that they were beginning to understand their mistakes and were optimizing their 2022 car's capabilities. The prevailing belief was that, for 2023, all they needed to do was eliminate the hindering factors from their vehicle. By doing so, they hoped to once again compete for the title and consistently challenge Max Verstappen and Red Bull. The W14, despite the hurdles faced in 2022, appeared strikingly similar to its predecessor, and many assumed that with the redesign of the rear suspension and gearbox, the car would manifest less rigidity and enhanced drivability. Rule modifications that raised the floor edges by 15mm were also expected to aid in this endeavour. Did Mercedes miscalculate this? It's a mixed bag, and if we examine closer, other issues surfaced which were previously masked by the 2022 challenges. A central discussion point was the side pod design, and although Mercedes continually asserted that the slender side pods weren't responsible for the car's porpoising and bouncing issues, the absence of the Red Bull-styled undercut, which has become the norm in F1, undeniably impacted performance. After addressing this, the anticipated performance benefits of the exposed floor and the broader side impact protection system bar didn't materialise as hoped. After a bad qualifying performance in Bahrain, Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff advocated for a new strategic approach, which did eventually happen, and the W14 was revamped, effectively binning the zero-pod design. But it hasn't worked well for the team, as they didn't improve much or got worse. The car is pretty much where it was at the start of the season, and with the focus shifting on the 2024 Challenger, it doesn't seem that things will improve for the Silver Arrows this season. Then, we need to take a look at the personnel change in Mercedes, as Toto Wolff swapped the jobs of the technical director, Mike Elliott, and the chief technical officer, James Allison. This, while is an intra-team change, as in no one from the outside came in, is still something that you need to give time in order to fit together, and it could be part of the reason why Mercedes still isn't stable from the inside. James Allison is one of the best engineers and F1 car designers, and there is no doubt that he will do great at his job. However, in an unstable team, things take time. Then Loic Sera will head off to Ferrari, and that will be a huge loss for the Brackley team, and John Owen's role of director of car design will be split, with Owen continuing to lead on car design. His deputy, Giacomo Tortora, will take on the new role of engineering director, absorbing extra duties created when the cost cap was introduced from Owen. Another reason is the driver feedback. Hamilton raised his concerns about this year's Mercedes immediately after the season opening Bahrain Grand Prix, as he said to the BBC, "Last year I told them the issues that are with the car. Like, I've driven so many cars in my life, so I know what a car needs. I know what a car doesn't need." This led to speculations about whether or not the whole process moving away from the zero-pod designs was due to driver pressure or from the engineering team. Lewis is a vastly experienced racing driver, and George has got plenty of experience himself, but you want the engineering team to be driving it because they understand engineering and design and aerodynamics way more than drivers ever will. We often see that dynasties dissipate after a while, and that the groups of men and women that came together to create such an amazing dynasty at Mercedes have ticked past midnight, so the downfall of Mercedes is expected. However, not all is grim, as having experienced what they did this season, Mercedes fans should be hopeful that the team will bounce back in 2024. They know which designs work and which don't, and by 2024, the new additions to the team will have worked together for a while, hopefully solving many issues. One of which being the inconsistency which has plagued the team since the start of the 2022 season. Mercedes have two very good drivers in Russell and Hamilton, and if the latter doesn't leave, I can see them being favourites next season. What do you think? Can Mercedes bounce back next year and compete with Red Bull? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.